Hello, you beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Holistically Speaking. My name is Hannah, I'm your host, and today I'm going to dive into something. I actually just had this realization come to me the other day, and I think it's something that I really want to talk about and expand on because I had this whole moment. So beware, I may or may not cry on this episode because I have just been through an emotional roller coaster the last few days, and I don't know what is going on with me, but I have not cried this much in a while. So bear with me if the tears start flowing. There's not much I can do about it. But I just thought that this thought that came to me on my walk the other day was so beautiful and healing, and I thought that I would share with you because something that I really truly think is one of the greatest gifts that we get as a human is the ability to feel. And it can be so easy to only want to focus on positive emotions, and it can be really difficult of getting like trapped in negative emotions or low vibrational emotions. And it is so common within this society to want to numb our feelings. Anytime that we go through trauma, anytime there's been something difficult in our life, if we've not processed and let go of, it's stored in our bodies. And rather than facing these feelings, we shove them down or we try to numb them. And whether you use some sort of pharmaceutical medication or like recreational drugs, alcohol, any of these things are all substances put in front of us in order to numb what we are feeling. But the truth is, feeling is has to be the greatest gift we have in this life. Like, you chose to come to earth to have this experience as a human, and you signed up knowing, willingly, and understanding that you are going to feel every single emotion, from fear to abundance, from gratitude to despair. There is just such an array of emotions that we feel as humans, but every single one of them is so important, and we live in a reality of duality. There is good and there is bad in this three-dimensional world that we're experiencing right now. Without the bad, we wouldn't necessarily appreciate the good for what it is. If you never experienced sadness, would you feel the magic of joy when it was there? And we need things like grief and sadness because there's such thing as loss. There's such thing as having to move on. There's such thing as different phases in our life, different experiences that we go through in our life. They're not all going to be 100% favorable every single time. It's extremely unrealistic. And part of a healing journey is learning to face everything that you've experienced in your life, from the very worst day you've ever lived, from any sort of trauma that you've ever experienced. You kind of have to look it in the eye, and you have to understand, maybe not why did this happen to me, but maybe why did this happen to me, but more so, how can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? How can I overcome this? What is this teaching me? When somebody hurts us, it's a chance for us to reflect on our own boundaries. What am I not allowing people to cross? What line am I drawing that I will not allow people to cross in order to protect myself? And I went through a breakup a few months ago, and I thought by now I would be peachy keen, but unfortunately that's not the case. It's been a slow healing process, and every time I think that I'm doing okay, I get hit with another wave of emotion, and I just feel a little bit like I'm drowning and trying to intellectualize what happened to say that the relationship I experienced, there are no words. I totally thought that this man was put in my life to be my husband and the father of my children, and the connection we had was out of this world. Like, I remember every life I've ever lived with him, and all of a sudden it blew up and it was over, and I never got to say goodbye, and I never didn't know that the last time I saw him was the last time I was going to see him, or I probably would have never got on that plane. I probably would have never walked away knowing that it was going to be the end, but it was very much out of my control, and it taught me a lot about myself, about what I want, about what's important to me in relationships, that my standards have become very high and I did not deserve to be treated that way. Um, but it's funny because being a few months removed, I don't look back and remember me laying on the floor crying, feeling like my whole world had been taken from me. I remember the magic that I experienced with him, if only for a few short moments of my life. We're not together for very long, and honestly, even the chance of us meeting each other was like 1 in a billion. Like, it was just one of those things that happens that you're like, what the fuck just happened? And it happened. It was very real. It's been a lot to try and get over, but I had this I was feeling sad and I went for a walk, and I just had this realization of like, but how friggin' lucky am I that I got to experience something so beautiful, if only for a short amount of time. The love that we had for each other, the passion that we had, the experiences that we shared together was like straight out of a romance movie. It was just, I think, literally what makes life worth living. And now I'm on the other side of it, and I'm dealing with the grief, and I'm dealing with the betrayal, and I'm dealing with the feelings that are heavy and they're difficult and they keep coming up. I think I process them, and then I turn another corner and they show up again. And I, it makes me so grateful that I am able to feel all of these feelings, because I will put, I will go through the grief. I will go through the hardships. I will go through the difficult feelings if it means I get to feel what it felt when it was good. And obviously, I'm not going to repeat this cycle because I'm doing the work and I'm taking the time and I'm focusing on what I need to do for myself before I dive into something else. Um, but I'm just so grateful that, even if I never found somebody ever again, that 4 months of my life was literally, there are no words to describe it. And I just feel so lucky that I got to experience all of that. And yes, I could hate him, I could be angry, I could hate all men, I could never want to date again, because that was the most hurt I have ever been in my entire life. Like, my entire nervous system shut down, and I did not stop crying for, I don't even know how long, weeks. Like, it was like insane, and here I am months later still getting these random waves of emotion. But I just realized, like, how lucky am I that I'm a human, that I get to experience all of this, that I get to experience the love, and I get to experience the joy and the magic and the that feeling you have when you meet somebody and you feel like you've known them in every lifetime, and there's no reason why you should feel that way. But yet there it is. And maybe it was only for a season, maybe it was only for a lesson, but how lucky am I? And to know that if that was possible to experience that in such a short amount of time, what is it going to feel like when I do meet my husband? What is it going to feel like when I become a parent? What is it going to feel like when I have this forever, and not only as a temporary thing, but I'm going to be that much more grateful because I know what it is to love, and I know what it is to lose. And to know what it is to lose makes you appreciate it that much more, what it is to love. And that's the thing about the dualities. Like, we are meant to feel everything. And if you're trying to numb yourself from feeling the depression and all these low vibrating emotions, I get it. It sucks. I used to have depression. I used to not want to get out of bed in the morning. I had no motivation to do anything because I was like, what's the point? And I pulled myself out of that hole. I put down the shovel. I quit digging myself into that hole. And I looked up to the sky and I found God, and I found gratitude and prayer and all these things that helps you pull you out of that low vibration. But everybody has to hit some form of rock bottom. Everybody is going to have highs and lows. And the most beautiful thing in life is like learning how to navigate that, because there is no way to ever avoid that. And also, why would you want to live a life without that? Because if you are numbing your feelings, the negative feelings, you're also numbing yourself from the positive feelings. And the feeling of love and joy and connection and abundance and gratitude and pleasure and all these things that are high vibrational that we want, we can't have that without the things that are maybe not desirable, but they make us stronger. They teach us things about ourselves, and they allow us to be sure of what we want. I'm never doing that again. I am not learning that same lesson over and over again. I get it. I understand. There was a lot of things I learned. And it wasn't all me. Obviously, it takes two to tango. Everybody has their own stuff going on. Do I wish it could have been different? Yeah, for sure I do, but it's out of my control, and that there's nothing I can do to change that. And if that was how good a relationship could be with somebody who I'm not meant to be with for the rest of my life, like, how friggin' good is it going to be when it is that person? And I think this also teaches you not to settle, because if somebody's constantly hurting your feelings, that's not love. And I think it can be really easy to get trapped in toxic relationships because there becomes this cycle of like love and then the despair, and then you get the love again, and then comes the despair, and it can almost become addicting. So I think once that despair comes, like, you have to walk away, because it will come back again, you know? I mean, I believe in second chances, but probably not third and fourth and fifth and sixth. And once it's a pattern, it's going to continue to repeat itself. But the best part is like, you experience that, you know what's possible. You had the heartbreak, you walk away, you let yourself heal from that, you remind yourself you don't deserve that. You ask yourself, in what ways can I get better? In what ways can I grow? Where can I become a better partner? How can I show up better for myself when I'm in a relationship? How can I show up better in all aspects of my life? Because a relationship can take a lot from you. It can take a lot of time. It can take a lot of energy. If you spend a lot of time with somebody in a close proximity, it can really affect your day-to-day life if somebody you're dating isn't similar to you, or if you have a very easily influenced personality, somebody who's good at going with the flow, like, oh, I'll just do what they do, but you lose that sense of yourself and what would you be doing if you had all the time in the day to do what you needed to do for you. And all these things we have to learn as we go. And maybe you start dating somebody and you date them for your whole life when you get married, and it's amazing, and that's fantastic, and you learn a lot in a partnership whether it ends or not. And I think this is also something to keep in mind that I've really realized is I did so much healing on my own, and there was like 2 years in between my previous boyfriend and my last boyfriend, because I don't move quickly. I need the time to be by myself. I need the time to process. I need the time to be like, okay, I'm not doing that again. What do I need to do differently? And so in that time, I did all this self work, I did all this healing, I did ayahuasca, I did all these things, and I was so proud of myself. And I get into this relationship, and then all these things come out that you can heal by yourself all day long. But until you're in a relationship again, until you're having to navigate yourself with somebody else's feelings in mind, with somebody else's, boundaries and morals and the way that they want things to go. And me and my ex-boyfriend couldn't have been more opposite. And I know that I have anxious attachment, and he was definitely emotionally avoidant. And I think those are like the worst two you could possibly pair together. I think that's why it blew up. Um, and I don't think either of us were wrong. I think both of us could have handled things differently. I think there was a way about to go about that maybe that wouldn't have been so awful, but I do get it. And I understand, and now I have this whole list to add. And you know what? I want to tell you, if you're trying to manifest being in a relationship, if you're trying to manifest somebody in your life, make a list. I've done this multiple times and it worked. I made a list about all these things I wanted in for a boyfriend, and here he shows up. It's like build a boyfriend, okay? Then I date this boy for a year, and I'm like, nope. I missed some things, okay? There was some boxes that didn't get checked because I hadn't written them in the list, and I'm like, okay, erase the drawing board. We're gonna start again. I'm like, this is what I want. Okay, well, I got that. And now I'm like, oh, well, I missed there was some boxes I didn't fill out. There was some things missing. So now I get to do it again. And it's actually like, I think it's fun. I think it's cool that it's like there is always going to be somebody out there for whatever season of life you're in. And sometimes we don't get a pick if it's like your long-term husband for the rest of your life love, or somebody who's going to come into your life for 5 months and break your heart worse than you've ever experienced, but also loved you more than you've ever been loved before. So it's hard to know what's going to happen. There's no guarantee, but it's exactly what you need in that time, or it's exactly what you're an energetic match to. It was a reminder of all these things I still need to do, of all this work I still have to do, that my career is important. And I think if my purpose was to solely be a mom in this life, I think that would have happened already. And I do want to be a mom one day, but I just think like I came here for a mission. I came here to do something, and I, when I'm in a relationship, very easily put that on the side burner. And it's because you want to spend time with your boyfriend and you want to build this relationship and you want to build a life with somebody. And then I'm not making every decision from a place of like, no, 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 I'm a healer that came here to help humanity. And we look around, we're in a time right now where humanity needs some serious help. And sometimes you have to put other wants and needs aside. It's going to come when it comes. I have no doubt in my mind. I'm a very lovable person. I love myself and I value who I am. And I know that I bring so many wonderful qualities to a relationship. Is there things I have to learn and grow from? Yes, absolutely. But also, there are a lot of things that I'm good at. There's a lot of things that I bring to the table that I know there are people out there looking for in their partners. So I have no doubt in my mind that everything will fall into place when it needs to be. But I think I need to set up myself first. I think I need to lay the foundation. I think I need to finish my schooling. I think I need to set up a coaching program. I think I need to have all of these things checked off before I'm ready to let that in fully, because otherwise it goes on the back burner. And like last summer, I did not really do my podcast because I was out traveling around to all these places, having all these crazy, wild experiences with this man and not focusing on what I needed to do for me. So maybe that was a lesson for myself, that I have to learn to put myself first now and in a relationship. But it might be easier if I lay the foundations before I jump into a relationship and get lost in there. Also, hence the anxious attachment style. The more you learn about yourself, the more you understand these little quirks that your energy personality has. And none of it is a fault. None of it is necessarily like the world is over, but it is something that you have to learn how to navigate and understand, and what you need to do differently in your healing journey than somebody else. Like, I don't avoid my emotions. My emotions flood me. I don't have the chance to run away from them. but I always feel like people are tiptoeing away from me, which is anxious attachment. When you get that person in your corner, you want to keep them there. And somebody who's emotionally avoided probably is like, fuck that. So, maybe next time I'm going to figure out sooner if that's my partner's. I don't even know what these are called. I'm so sorry. I've read into them before, but it's not something I am um really educated in. I just understand mine and obviously my ex-boyfriend's because I did some research about it, trying to make sense of, why everything was the way it was. I find it interesting about myself is like I am very emotional. I'm a very emotional person. I'm very emotionally intelligent. And I don't know if it's like the link between my water and air because I can intellectualize my feelings and I understand where they're coming from and why they show up versus just them being there and being overwhelming and not knowing what to do with them. But I actually don't have a lot of water in my chart. I have a Venus, my Venus is in Cancer, and my Chiron is in Scorpio. That is it. I have no Pisces, and that is the only things in my entire chart that's water. But Venus is also my chart ruler, and also my Cancer energy is amplified, and it's also my 10th house, which rules over my career. So it does have a big influence in my life, but I don't have a lot of water, but I really understand emotions and this is why I think that it's so important that we need to feel. You're not doing yourself any service to numb your emotions. And it might seem like what you need, it might seem like the thing to do. But you're not taking the easy way out. You're just delaying having to deal with your emotions. And you can just keep delaying and delaying and delaying and delaying. But guess what? If you don't deal with it in this life, you're going to deal with it in the next, and the next, and the next, and the next. And until you decide to deal with it, these patterns will continue to show up. This work always has to be done. It's how you learn, it's how you grow, it's how you evolve, and it's how you move from where you are to where you want to go. You have to feel your emotions, every single one, but don't look at it as punishment. Don't look at it as something so scary. And remind yourself that you're safe, okay? Because I know that there's a lot of trauma that happens to us, especially if it's things from our childhood that we didn't have the space to deal with at the time. We didn't have the understanding. It can be really difficult. And now you have to remind yourself and do the nervous system work to feel safe, to remind yourself that you are safe, to now process these emotions because you're not yet, you have to feel it to let it go. What's coming is going. This is true in plant medicine. This is true in therapy. This is true in every form of healing. What's coming is going, but you have to process it to get it out. You have to feel it. You have to understand what it is trying to teach you. I also just want to say take this as a reminder that healing isn't linear. If this experience has really shown me anything, it's that not everything is just going to happen all at once and then it's over. Sometimes you wake up and you think everything is better, and then 3 days later, you are spiraling again or you feel a certain way. And because nothing happens overnight and there's always some sort of process that goes to healing in all aspects, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, or spiritual, it's never going to be linear. And I don't know if you've ever seen this picture, but if you look at it from above, you might feel like you're spiraling because you're going in circles and circles and circles. But if you look at it face on, you realize that you're actually moving up, and so that visual representation can just show you that even though you might feel like you're spinning out of control, even though you think, wow, Hannah, I thought you were over this, I thought we healed this, I thought we went through this, and it comes back up, it's just another layer. And it's also sometimes just a sign that your nervous system has calmed down enough that you are allowing yourself to feel what your body couldn't carry at the time, and you feel safe enough to now process these emotions. So anyway, take that if it resonates with you. If you've been going through something difficult and you feel like you've tried all this stuff and it's not working, it's not you, it's not your fault. There's just a lot of different layers to healing, and it's not always so easy. Sometimes it is more difficult than maybe it needs to be, but it's truly where the growth and resilience stems from, and how we learn to continue to show up for ourselves even when it's hard, even when we don't want to. And also let yourself cry it out. If you have to cry, let yourself cry. It's has to be one of the most healing things you can do for yourself. You're moving through that emotion, you're letting it out of your system, and we all know how much better we feel after we cry. So that is all for this week. I just hope that you can take this as a gentle reminder to love and appreciate every single feeling, every single emotion, because they are teachers, they are guides, there's so much wisdom there, and life wouldn't be worth living if we didn't get to feel the most amazing parts of life, but we wouldn't realize how amazing they were if we didn't experience the hardships as well. And that's what makes us stronger, that's what makes us grow, and we all go through it. You're not alone. And again, there are so many beautiful souls that have dedicated their entire life to making to helping you heal. It is their life purpose to help you, and lean into that. Don't be afraid to ask for help, but know that it's important for every aspect of your health to do this for yourself. And it lets you be lighter and freer and more easily go with the flow and in tune with what is meant for you and all these beautiful, wonderful, magical aspects of life. So I didn't cry, you guys. That was good. I am proud of myself because I took a video of me talking about this the other day and I was sobbing, so I wasn't sure if I'd make it through without a tear or two. But I love you all. Thank you all so much for being here. You make my heart so full, honestly. I love that I have this place to show up every week, and I appreciate every one of you that continues to show up for me. So if you ever have any questions, comments, or want to suggest things for me to talk about, as always, reach out to me. I appreciate when I hear from you guys, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye!